Covering burst is one of the most difficult bursts to use, as the burst itself does not provide its user with any stat increase, yet it is arguably the best and undeniably the most used burst in the entire games. So, let me explain why and how to use it properly. While most of you who play Maxi Boost on might think that Covering Burst is just the X Boost version of Extend Burst, this could not have been more wrong, and in doing so result in many using this burst wrong and costing them the game. One of the biggest mistakes when using Covering Burst is to use it primarily to flip, avoiding death or prevent partners from overcosting. Unlike its predecessor, Covering Burst does not give you any stat, except for level 1 mobility, which is the lowest in all the bursts. Using it to flip, which will cause your burst penalty, does not guarantee or making it much easier for you to escape, but more importantly, this negates the special properties of the Covering Burst that make it the best burst in the entire games. And that properties is that the Covering Burst gives your partners X gauge for the entire duration of its activation. This means that if you use it to flip and get penalized, you are wasting its full potential. But I saw the Japanese people use it to flip, you say? Don't worry about that. I can explain to you the logic of those decisions later, but now you need to understand the basic logic first. What I am about to tell you is one of the best practice when it comes to using the burst. Just like the main logic of Extend Burst is to use to extend your life, the main logic of Covering Burst is to cover weakness or mistake. The difference is that it does not only cover your mistake, it also covers your partner as well. With that said, the timing to use Covering Burst is most of the time dependent on the state of your partner burst. I'll give you some scenarios so that you're best to pay attention to the logic. Don't just follow the scenario though, or else you won't be able to think and just blindly follow. First, we are playing with a 3k and a 2k comp. Our partner, a 3k at around 200 HP, decides to use his burst. Luckily, he does not get hit or die during the burst. But even then, bursting in a low HP will result in them returning in nowhere near half burst. This is a great time for you as a support with at least half or more burst to burst, because without you giving them that extra burst, they won't have anything to defend themselves with. I'm sure you have a lot of time that your 3k died twice without you even dying once. To prevent this, you can give them some burst so that they will get half burst earlier. This framework does not just apply to when your partner bursts at a risky HP if they took some hit or even die in a burst, as they will definitely be a target for the double 3k run strat. Let's go with another scenario. This time, our 3k burst at around 200 HP, but they did not get hit. This means that the 200 HP will be converted into X gauge. Additionally, they will also gain some gauge when they die as well. Usually, in this kind of situation, your partner will return with close to half burst. And this is a great opportunity for you who is still in your first life to burst and give him that half. This opens up the 3 burst strategy where the front player can burst 3 times if he chooses to burst with that half. And he will definitely get another one at the end of the games. But as I mentioned, this means he's going to get it when he's very low. But worry not, because in this situation where everything is going well, apart from having a ton of HP that will cover into X gauge, they will get extra gauge from your death and more from your second Covering Burst. This only becomes an issue if your partner takes massive damage during his burst, but at that point it's more of a skill issue than that of the strategy. Now, what if your partner still has burst and you are being pursued? Can you flip? The answer this time is yes, because your partner still has burst to defend themselves in case the enemy chooses to pursue them. However, do remember that flipping still results in getting X gauge penalized, so if you can just burst without flipping to escape a rough situation, it is still better to do so. Okay, let's do one more, and you don't want to skip this because you won't be able to use everything you learned so far correctly without it. In this situation, our partner still has burst, so why didn't we flip here? This is probably as complicated as it's going to get, so if you are able to understand this, then you should be able to use the Covering Burst. In this situation, a partner has 212 HP plus more than half burst. However, our own is very low, so even if we flip here and escape, we're still one shot away from dying anyway, so in this situation, there is not much point to protect the overcost. And we move on to the next best thing, which is we choose to return and immediately look for the situation to burst to give our friends as much burst as possible. But our friends also burst here as well, because with 212 HP, it is likely that they will get another burst on their last life, especially with our nearly full covering burst helping them. But isn't dying before your partner bad? That logic is extremely outdated now, but I have no time to explain it in this video fully, so just let me ask you a question for now. What is an overcost really? Does it actually happen when the low cost die? Or does it happen when the low cost die, then the high cost die right after it? Well, you got it right. Or wrong, I actually can't hear your answer. It happened when the high cost die after the low cost. So you actually can prevent this by giving the high cost burst so that they can defend themselves when the enemy try hard to overcost them. To summarize, the main use of covering burst is to give burst resources to the people that need them. If they already have the set resource and you are at the losing condition, you can then choose to use it to flip. With that said, one properties of covering burst that many do not know about is that if you burst while your partner is already bursting, they will still get a gauge from your burst when their burst is finished. So there is really no excuse to miss a timing window. I hope you are able to follow the logic, so rather than just follow what I said one-to-one, you are able to think and choose the best way to utilize the burst that fit the current situation of your games. But before you go, there are two very important things I'd like to tell you. First, if you are new to the games, I suggest not consider it flipping at all if you can help it, because you are unlikely to have the necessary skill to survive someone pursuing you. So if you flip, you'll just be wasting your burst, plus speeding up the speed of your death compared to just taking the hit and staying down, or using the burst with its full duration and trying to escape. With that said, all the information about covering burst you just learned is pretty much useless if you did not fully understand the technique and theory I will be sharing in this next video.